What's up, everyone? Alright, so last video did amazing with the Velma family tree video I done. So now we're doing the Fred Jones family tree. So Fred is a trap master, but looking at his family, they are a wide variety of professions, from a movie actor to being a mayor to owning a rodeo to being a Hollywood chef. I believe that's what Bobby Duflay is. I'm not too sure. But we're gonna go just like with Velma, from the oldest versions of the Jones family to the youngest. So first up, let me explain what each line color means, since it'll get a little trickier down the road in case you forget. Blue is for siblings, white is for marriage, green is children, orange is cousins, and red is any theories I have. So let's begin with the oldest member of the Jones family, and that is Edward Duflay. He was a chef and the original owner of the Rocky Harbor Culinary Resort during the American Revolutionary War. The next Jones member we have, just like Velma, was a Frederick Jones. He was a leader of a small group in a wagon called the Conundrum Contraption, which basically was an Old West style that all our normal group of teens was in. We see him along with all the others in The Good, the Bad, and the Scooby. Now we're gonna get into Fred's grandparent. First grandparent we see of Fred's is his sweet beloved grandmother. Now we do not get a name for her, but she invited the gang to a fancy dinner party in Scooby-Doo Stubble Trouble. If I remember correctly, reading the whole synopsis about this is that Shaggy was having an issue with the stubble on the end of his chin. Fred told him to shave it, but Fred's grandmother was basically told him, don't shave it. It looks nice. The next one would be Theodore Jones, who is a movie action star, and Fred has stated that Grandpa Teddy, is what he calls him, is the reason Fred wears his iconic fashion sense, as well as the idea of monster hunting. Now, this is a theory that I did have, but I didn't put it up here on the thing, is that I wanted to originally say he was married to the grandma, you know, on the opposite side, but I'm not going to confirm it, so instead I put his grandma on the other side for a reason I will get into later. Now we're going to get into Fred's aunts and uncles, and there is a lot of them as well, so let's begin with the aunts since there's less of them actually. There is literally only two we know of, and first up is Aunt Glenda. Now she is the wife of Uncle William, who is the mayor of Lighthouse Harbor. More on him later, but we do not get to know much about her personally. She was in Scooby-Doo Curse of the Irate Pirate. Now the other aunt we get to meet is Aunt Lucy. She is the wife of Uncle Lou. She has two kids with him named Luke and Lisa, and they are in the comic Scooby-Doo and the Lighthouse Mystery. Now let's get into the huge amount of uncles that Fred has. And the first one, we're going to start with Uncle William and Uncle Lou because both of them are married, so we're going to just start with them first. So Uncle William, he is the mayor of Lighthouse Harbor. Other than that, we don't get too much info on him. I might say he's a bit of work driven, but it was a comic, so they didn't flesh out every character. He was in the Curse of the Irate Pirate with Aunt Glenda. Now, Uncle Lou, honestly, I thought there would be a bit for this guy, but I was wrong. He's pretty much a background character in the comic Scooby-Doo and the Lighthouse Mystery, sort of. I'm not going to get into the details of what he does, but you know, if you want to go read that comic, find it, and you know, it'll tell you. So now we're going to go into alphabetical order with the uncles and flesh them out, hopefully. So first off, Eddie Jones. Okay, so a lot of info for this character. He is confirmed to be the brother of Skip Jones. So we finally, oh my gosh, finally, in this video and the last one, I didn't really have any confirmation of any siblings of aunts and uncles to the mother and father, and finally we get one. It's Eddie Jones. And I did put him with Carl and Skip, and that's because I feel like those three together look so similar. It's like you guys have to almost be triplets. He, just like Freddy, believes in the supernatural, and he owns the National Exaggerator tabloids. And here's a fun fact for myself. I have an Uncle Eddie Jones myself. His name is Eddie, and he was a Vietnam vet, and honestly I can't believe it took me till now putting this video together to figure that out. Uncle Barney is next. Fred has an Uncle Barney. He is an apple orchard farmer. I don't know why that was so difficult for me to say. He's also in Italian comics, so I'm not going to pronounce them, but he is in the Shadows on the Farm Italian comic. Bobby Flay, of course, I will not forget Fred's probably most popular uncle. He is theorized to be on the mother's side since he does not look like Fred or his father at all. He owns the Rocky Harbor Culinary Resort and has a cat, Nacho, and we meet him in Scooby-Doo and the Gourmet Ghost. Now, next up is Uncle Carl. Here is the owner of a cheese shop in Wisconsin. He also lives near a lighthouse, which is haunted. I wanted to theorize, since we don't know for certain where in Wisconsin he is. I want to say maybe Sand Island. We meet him in What's New Scooby-Doo Fright House of a Lighthouse, and hopefully I'll have a picture up of a map of Wisconsin with all their lighthouses, so that way you guys can kind of make your own assumptions about where Uncle Carl lives. Uncle Max. Uncle Max works at the National Space Agency, and he is a near identical appearance to Fred, except for a thick black mustache, almost looks like Steve Harvey's. He is a very friendly sort for a military official, and we see him in Scooby-Doo, Where on Mars Are You? It kind of reminds me of the Tom and Jerry, was it Blast Off to Mars movie? I think so. I don't know, I love that. Hocus Pocus. Now, Hocus Pocus is an old retired actor. He looks massive, and with the black hair, I want to say he's on the mother's side since he looks far off from the regular Jones men. We meet him in the Ghost of Christmas Present comic. Now, Uncle Jesse. Now, for this one, I have a couple theories on. Number one, since he owns a rodeo that is being robbed, I want to say the stress of it all has made his hair grow gray, because looking at the masculine chin, he is definitely a Jones man. So, Skip's brother, I know I put him on the sister side because that's, or the mom side, that's because later on I was like, well, actually, it kind of would make more sense. I mean, he doesn't have that vibe to me. I don't know why. And number two, he owns a rodeo. Dust is always flying, so his hair is turned, but we meet him in Scooby-Doo, Bronx, and Boogeyman. Now, next is Uncle Ned. Uncle Ned is the owner of a traveling carnival show. He must be one of the clowns because he wears makeup and wears a colorful suit just like a clown the circus would. I didn't put in what comic he was. Sorry about that. I might put it up with the text so that way if you guys want to see it, you guys can. Uncle Staxo. Uncle Staxo owns his own wax museum, but it was being haunted by a fire ghost that melted the wax figures in the rock and roll exhibits. He is introduced in the Wax Attacks comic book. Now, the last uncle we're going to talk about is Uncle Thurmond. Uncle Thurmond is rich, and he owns a beachfront estate in Miami. His property was being terrorized by a land shark, and we meet him in the Scooby-Doo Miami Frights comic. Now, to get into kind of a small amount of cousins, I think Velma had a lot more cousins than Fred did. Fred definitely has way more uncles than Velma does, but Velma also had almost like an equal equivalency of aunts and uncles. So the first up is Jed Jones. Jed is the employee of Monstrous Fright and Magic. He is in the DS Games Harem Scarum at the museum, and then back to the Monstrous Fright and Magic. That's what it wrote down on his IMDb, but the Scoobypedia page, I just put it up there because like it had slash, I don't know. I've never played those games. I might want to. Scott McDoon is another Jones member and the captain of a cruise ship in the SS Casey, which is a reference to Casey Kasem, because he died in 2014. And he also is in Be Cool Scooby-Doo. I just don't remember the episode because I didn't write that down. Now, Ted Jones. Ted is a professional snowboarder, and he was attacked by a snow troll in the Snow Joe comic, so literally barely anything about him. And a different Ted Jones is Cousin Ted. He is the producer of Evil Ella's TV show Mystery Macabre. He is apparently clueless on how to read people, and I want to assume that both Ted and Ted, so one has two D's, one has one, are probably by different parents. I want to hope so in the least. We meet him in Scooby-Doo Mystery Macabre. Can you imagine having two Teds as children? Your brain would hurt because you try to yell at one and the other one would respond and you'd be like, not you, Ted, that Ted, and all over. The final two we were going to mention are Luke and Lisa. They are the children of Uncle Lou and Aunt Lucy. They don't really say anything or have anything substantial to the comics. And then the final members of Fred's family is, of course, the parents and Fred himself. So for this one, I am going to start with mom, then dad. So Mrs. Jones is named Peggy. She is a very overbearingly mother, and honestly, I don't think I would rather have it any other way. We first meet Mrs. Jones in Scooby-Doo Pirates Ahoy, and then the next time we see her is in Be Cool Scooby-Doo. And I put her as the daughter of Grandma since they are both overbearing, overloving to Fred. That's why back at Grandma, I said this is, my thing about why she's probably the daughter of Grandma. Now, this I have a theory for on the father, but first up, we also saw him in Scooby-Doo Pirates Ahoy, and he apparently is really bad at directions, so it must follow in the family. He also compliments Fred on his trap making in the movie, so it might be a tradition for the Jones family. But the theory I have is that since we see his name being Skip in the movie, but in Be Cool, his name is Donald, I'm thinking his actual name is Donald Skip Jones, or Skip Donald Jones. Maybe. Now, Fred. Fred, of course, is our lovely ascot-wearing trap-making mastermind for the Scooby-Doo group and the driver of the Mystery Machine, which he babies a lot. Some interesting stuff about Fred is that he has been hypnotized many times in the franchise, and he also has allergies to hay fever and cats, but neither have been proven. I'm talking about the allergies. The hypnotism, you can just watch a ton of episodes of Scooby-Doo and probably find one where Fred gets hypnotized by the monster, or by his friends. I don't know. He gets hypnotized a lot. Now, I did not forget about Mayor Jones from Mystery Incorporated, but But after the timeline reset in the show, he was no longer mayor, and he was a principal and head soccer coach, and saw all of his students as his sons. His kids. He seemed to see Fred as his favorite student, telling Fred that he saw him as the closest thing he had to a son, which is very wholesome. And yeah, I'm pretty sure that is the entire Fred Jones family tree. Let me know if I missed anybody that you know of, so that way I can find it out. I almost forgot about Scott, but luckily I was looking back into some stuff and I found him. And yeah, so like this video, comment down below anything you guys want, and subscribe to the channel. We're at 195. I wanted to hit 200 by my birthday, and so far that might happen like 2 months in advance of my birthday. Holy crap, you guys are awesome. I will catch you all later.